Are you ready to party? Let's go. John Knox, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thanks for having me here.
Dude. Thank you for coming. Sorry for the delay because of the freaking cameras.
It's all right. It's
But
technology.
We got to figure it out, dude.
You're busy.
It's all good, man. It's all good, right? We're here for some good reasons.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we are, man. Well, hey, man, we want to get right into this. So, we kind of heard about you through Firefighters for Freedom. And Firefighters for Freedom kind of came together. You know, I want to let you kind of explain it. I'll let you take that away.
Whew, here we go. All right.
Let's do it, baby.
So, Firefighters for Freedom basically was founded out of the Los Angeles City mandates. I work for LA City Fire Department. I'm a firefighter paramedic, emergency dispatcher as well. I've been there for coming up on 21 years. And at the end of August, we had these vaccine mandates. They came about through the mayor and the city council. A buddy of mine that I work with, we had been talking about this for quite some time. And so we knew it was going to come. We just didn't know when. And, excuse me. So we sat down and started working on some paperwork and, you know, how are we going to approach this? What are we going to do? What's the direction? What's the stance that we're going to take?
Yeah.
And so, you know, our stance was it's not okay to mandate anything. You know, it's not okay. So one thing led to another, and these things actually dropped quicker than we thought they were.
When you say drop quicker, you mean like they kind of
They pushed them out.
got
yeah.
a following?
No,
Or You're talking about
the mandates themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the mandates came out. The city put the mandate out that you shall be vaccinated by October 20th or be terminated.
You shall. That's that famous word.
love that
dude.
word, right?
Shall.
Which is crazy because the time period, like you were saying, it was only a matter of like 2 to 3 weeks, right? Because
Yeah.
before the mandate originally was supposed to be you were either vaccinated or you had to show a negative test, and they were just determining between once a week or twice a week or however.
Well, we didn't even have that issue.
Really?
Yeah, it was just
Okay.
totally, you know, voluntary. I mean, we've worked throughout this whole pandemic issue, you know, this whole COVID thing for the past, 22 months. And, you know, they're like, well, if a shot or a vaccine comes out, you know, life's going to go back to normal and you're going to be good and so on and so forth. And, you know, everyone had it came out, right? And everyone had the ability to make that choice. Yes, I think this is a good thing for me, or no, I don't think this is a good thing for me. That's the beauty of this country, right? We get freedom of choice.
Right. Absolutely.
Or we used to.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, you know, we went from dealing with there's no vaccine, no shot, no nothing like that throughout all this, and we're totally fine going to work and going into people's homes, and then in 30 days of these mandates that were pushed out, now we're villains, you know, and it's like,
Right.
so out of that, we started this movement. We have a board of directors of 10 Firefighters for Freedom. We started a social media platform. We have Instagram, which is now over 30,000
Oh,
followers.
I love it.
And that's
yeah, dude, love it.
yeah, it's like our guys that are running that. I mean, they're bomb. They literally are just slaying it.
It's been great to watch that grow because when we
Yeah.
first saw it come out, a lot of us who are firefighters followed it, pretty closely.
Yeah.
And I'm saying like within 4 days, it was like 6,000.
Yeah.
10 days, boom, you're at like 15. I'm like, whoa, we got something going here.
It's unreal. I mean, you know, and you guys know, I mean, you're in social media, you're doing podcasts, you're doing all this stuff, and you guys understand how difficult it is to grow your social media.
Oh, yes. It's work. It's work.
Yeah, it's unreal. You know, and we had one guy doing it originally, and now, you know, we've got 2 guys, and then 2 of the wives are, you know, helping. You know, I mean, because people just flood that thing with questions all day long.
For sure. Well, and you guys are spearheading a movement, essentially.
Yeah. Because the mandate started there in LA City, and we jumped on this so fast, it really put us out front. The city, I don't think they ever saw this coming. I don't think anybody ever saw this coming.
No.
You know, what's happened. And so being there and jumping out on this and getting this moving as fast as we did has really been a benefit across the nation and actually throughout the world. So we started, we put up a web page. We set up a funding account through Give-Send-Go. We started the Instagram. We assembled a legal team, which consists of John Howard, Scott Street, and Robert Kennedy Jr.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
So you got some heavy hitters on that thing.
Yeah, I mean it's
Awesome.
it's
boy.
awesome, you guys. I mean, and we've been called radical right-wing conspiracy theorists, and I mean even our city council and our fire commissioners said, we knew this right-wing section was inside of the fire department, and now they're coming out, and this is absolutely wrong.
It's a sleeping giant.
It's like
It's a sleeping giant.
they're insane because Robert F. Kennedy. Really? Okay. Our other guy, Scott Street,
Right.
who's an attorney, he's worked in every administration from Clinton all the way to Obama. Okay. So tell me how radical right wing this is. This isn't a partisan issue for us. This is literally about our freedoms. And when you have individuals like that, who've been in the left their whole career, and they're standing with us and fighting for us, that tells you something, that this is absolutely wrong.
It's
on.
huge. It says a lot. I mean, look at look at the East Coast. Virginia turned red.
Yeah.
There's a couple other counties and states during that voting that flipped.
I mean, when you
And now-
got a truck driver that spends $158 on his campaign over like $16 million, and he won.
Yeah, I mean, how much more American can you get, though? I love stories like that.
Yeah.
I freaking love it, dude.
yeah,
That's why, not only are we, we're in support of Firefighters for Freedom. We follow. I mean, we're buying clothing. We're doing all that. But
Thank you.
oh, absolutely, man. And we love it because you're our brothers and sisters that
Right.
we do this along with, and we agree with you. And I like seeing what happened because it seems like it's a grassroots thing too.
Absolutely.
You just started it and it took off. Now, are you the founder?
No, there is no technically founder. We all came together organically. There is nothing that this person started, that person. It just happened the way it did. What was interesting, and so we had a union meeting.
Okay.
And in that union meeting, I went to the union meeting. My buddy and I, Rick, who had sat down and worked on all this paperwork on how we were going to. This is what we're going to do. We're going to push in this direction. Mm-hmm. And so I went to the union meeting and I sat there, and I've never, I'm not a union guy, whatever, that's a whole different topic. But in listening throughout this meeting, what I heard was fear. Everybody was afraid. And, guys are like, I don't know what to do. How are we going to do this? I need my job. I have a family to support. I've got this, I've got that. And there was no answers. No one was giving any answers. No one was giving any direction. And so, towards the end, I'm like, I got to say something. So, I stood up and I had 5 pages of stuff, and I'm like, facts and this and that and whatever. And I just started talking, and it went in a different direction. And honestly, I felt like it was channeled. Like, it's odd to say, but I felt like I was at the Continental Congress, back in 1776. And that's how, to me, where this was coming from. This came from the soul, man, right out of my heart. Yeah. And in talking, I basically wanted to relay the message to people that, to my brothers and sisters that were there, that, look, you're not on an island. You're not alone. I have responsibility. We all are in this boat together, and that's the thing. Everybody felt like they're completely segregated. They're just in this alone, and there's no one to help. And so, I stood there and I talked and made my peace. And I'm like, look, we're sovereign individuals. We have very specific rights that are God-given, and they're enshrined in these documents. The Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. And they're granted to us by God. And those documents allow, they limit the power of the government.
Right.
And they empower the people. That's why when you look at the U.S. Constitution, the biggest words say, we the people. Right? Because that's what the fuck really this is. We're the people, and we're telling you, period. This is what's up, man. So through that, I'm like, look, I'm drawing a line here. I'll pull the pin on this grenade and say, you're going to terminate me, because that's how strongly convicted I feel about this. I've said before to other people, I've never been more convicted about anything in my life other than Christ. And
I love it.
To be able to have that passion, that power, that ability to speak from the heart and just be like, hey, we really need to do this. And I'm willing to lose my job, my career, everything I've ever put into this, I'm willing to throw that all on the line to stop this governmental overreach, to stop these mandates. Again, it's not about a shot. This goes way past that, So
I'm glad you brought that up, because like I think that's kind of like the misnomer that like when the public would probably see something like this from like agency driven stances, for this case, a lot of fire departments, police departments, things like that. And it's not just about the vaccine.
Absolutely.
It is about I like the term overreach. I've used that a handful of times on here, but it's true, and what we're doing, or what the stance, or what you guys are doing. And like, obviously we want that to get out there and for people to hear this, is because where does it stop from there? We do have individual rights here as
Absolutely.
American citizens. And even as an employee, you have individual rights, and that's what's getting stepped over. And there's a lot of stuff to dissect what you just said, so I'm trying to run it through my head a little bit. But when the I don't know who the individual was that was talking about waking up the conservative people within the fire department, it's like, this has nothing to do with conservatism.
No.
Has nothing. If anything, this is the most liberal stance ever, that you as an individual have the right to make the decision for yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's what to me, this is really crazy, because when you say things out loud and you talk about it, it's like, to me, this is like, no, this isn't how things work, but it's actually happening right now. I mean, we literally have the president of the United States saying, that he's going to mandate that you have to take this vaccine or you cannot live your normal life.
Right. And so let's talk about that. I mean, when I look at this, to me, what I see is a workaround, right? And we know, firemen are notorious for figuring out a workaround, right?
Yes, we are, sir.
Hey, let's look at this. Fact. You call 911, we show up, and we mitigate your problem, right? We don't have another 911 that we can call, okay? Right. So we use critical thinking skills and all of that. So if you sit back and you actually look at this, what is a mandate? Well, a thing that I say quite often is, any rule or law or mandate, anything that is repugnant to the Constitution is illegal. And so these mandates are clearly illegal because they step all over constitutionality issues, whether it's at the federal level or at the state level. We have the strongest constitution out of all 50 states here in California. It affords us a massive amount of privacy, and body autonomy, and a lot of different things that necessarily at the federal level don't work as well. But what's interesting is, why are the cities mandating this? Why is the state mandating things? Why is the federal government mandating things? And that's because they know it's unconstitutional and they can't get it passed. So think about this. You've got two sides, right? Right and left, Democrat, Republican. You've got some libertarians, you got, whatever you've got in there. And they all have to come together. We have three branches of government. We have the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. So this is a way to sidestep the legislative branch of government. Because we know that we can't legally make this happen, we can't get enough votes on both sides, we can't get all of this to happen, let's just mandate it. Let's just, that's two dudes going out to dinner basically on a mandate, right? And pun intended, right? Bing, that was easy. So let's have this mandate and create a mandate, right? And we're going to go ahead and sit behind closed doors and we're going to decide what's best for you, Joe Public. And it's like, that's not the way this works.
Hell no.
So that's their way to step around that and to basically push that out, because most people don't. Back in 1776, things were a little different. 1775 and 1700s, right?
Right.
Today, you're conditioned to never talk about two things, and one is religion, and the other is politics, right?
That's a good point.
So why don't they want you to do that? Because you start critically thinking, and you have conversations, like what we're doing right now, and that creates pushback against powers that be. And they don't want that. They want everybody to go along like a bunch of sheeple and just follow their directions and commands. And we've given, we elect these officials, city council, the mayor, the president, Congress, all of these people, right? And we elect them and we allow them to govern us, but not rule us.
Correct.
And so there's a big difference. And
It's a huge difference. You bring up a great point, right?
yeah. And so it's insanity. That's what these mandates really are. It's the ability for them to step outside of the legislative branch and to create, because average Joe citizen, let's jump back to 1776. You go into a pub and everybody, have a beer and they talk about religion. They talk about politics. They talk about things that are going on day to day, in life. And now, you go to your job, you get your butt kicked every day, you come home, all you want to do is grab a beer, sit on the couch, turn on a football game, watch Dancing with the Stars, and, and let the news feed you the drivel of the day.
Right.
They're going to.
Well, and people, you bring up a good point about that time and now, because I've noticed, at least with people that I've talked to, they just believe what the news tells them. And
Absolutely.
I'm thinking you need to do some critical thinking here and do your own research.
Absolutely.
Because when you start bringing up points, you tell them, actually, that's not true. And here's this, and you show them where you found it and what's actually being said that is true. They're kind of like, then they say, well, no, that's impossible because, CNN, ABC didn't say that. Thinking, no, dude. You need to do your homework here, because there's so much misinformation being put out there.
Absolutely.
I don't have any news apps on my phone. I don't watch news at all because you cannot trust them.
No.
It's okay. Great point. We've talked about this in the podcast, right? You remember the Border Patrol guys, and they were being or saying they were whipping people, and you actually see the full picture come out, and it's not even a whip; it's the rain. Even the cameraman's like, "What the hell is that about?" No, but they still doubled down on it.
Yeah, you can manipulate it anyway. I mean,
It's incredible.
I've done plenty of interviews and news shows and everything under the sun, for this movement, and they don't ever want to do it live, right? Because they don't know what's coming, and so if they can go ahead and record it, they can create their own story that they want. They have a narrative, an agenda that they want to push. Right. Okay. They have their talking points, and then they go back through with their editors and they listen to everything and they're like, oh, that sounds good. We could fit that in there and make it sound like this. And, he said this, and it's completely out of context, right? Because you're not getting any of that. Right. And so it's like, and then you feed that to the public. I mean, COVID is a perfect example of, I don't even know what the word I want to use at this point, disgustingness, because you put a mask on somebody, right? Yeah. I can't see your face. It's difficult to communicate. I can't hear you. You can't see facial expressions, right? And it discourages you from having conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And then now I'm going to lock you in your house 24 hours a day, but I'm going to control everything you see because 6 companies own all of the media, right? And so now let's just feed whatever narrative we want to you, and you basically create what you're looking at. Whatever you want, they're going to create that reality. I mean, you can make it look like there's billions of people dying and that this is a flesh-eating virus and so on and so forth. I mean, you can go. They're the creators of reality, and
they're controlling the reality right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think with chaos always comes opportunity, and they were able to utilize that in an opportunistic way of being able to control people in general.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part is that there's been a lot of compliance, and there's been a lot of, and like you're saying, I can sit here and print up a bunch of, we'll call them facts, right? They maybe won't align with what you would see on a standard news channel, whatever. But as soon as I would say that out loud, it'd be like, oh, well, so-and-so, like you said, it's like, oh, they, CNN or whatever, or the CDC didn't put that out. That must be wrong. Right. I was like, well, there happens to be a lot of other, research and different things from all over the world that can probably prove your argument if whether you're for or against it. So it's like the reality is for most people is that, and we've said it on here a ton, but it's like encourage everybody, do your research and look up both ends of the spectrum here. Yeah. Because honestly, you're going to find an answer that's going to probably line right in the middle.
Yeah.
But that's not what's encouraged. It's just shut up and do your part. And that's doing your part is either, limiting yourself or get vaccinated or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's It's a very interesting time, to say the least. But I think that it's great that there's organizations like yours, and there's people that are not afraid to talk about it, because it's like, look, at the end of the day, I don't care what you choose to do with yourself, as long as you're not like hurting me in the general area of hurting yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is a pretty standard rule of thumb, I think. And we've gotten so far past that now. Yeah. And the outreach of that is like, I mean, it drives people away from each other at work. It drives families away from, their home life. It's pretty nuts. So when you're like looking at this, talking about exactly what you said, it's like 6 companies basically control everything that's put on television. And it's like, well, how do we, as a society, how do we get past that? Or how do we inform more of that? I mean, that's the real question, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's this, what we're doing right now. We're talking, right? And so, I mean, this whole thing comes, I love history, and I love American history. And unfortunately, you're starting to see revisionist history being taught in schools. They're rewriting books. They're rewriting all the history books, Yeah. I mean, you see this movement that went on through COVID, with all of these Antifa and all of this other stuff that's happening, right? They're tearing down statues and things like that of, in the South, and getting rid of the Confederate flag. Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute. I get that, no, I don't get it. Let me rephrase this. I don't get it. And I'll tell you why. That statue was not erected to say that that's a great man and that we should, because he was involved in slavery.
Right.
That's a reminder.
Exactly.
Okay. That is a reminder to let us know that bad things happened in our history, and that if we don't pay attention, we're bound to repeat that again. Okay. And so by you tearing that down, that's gone. And then the future generations don't realize that, and they don't see it when it starts coming back around. When slavery starts happening again, it's not going to happen to one individual group, like it did from the slave trade in the 1700s. It's going to be society. That's what's happening right now. And they don't want you to know that. And so what's the best way to do that? Let's rewrite the history books, get rid of the original sources, and then take down all the statues and monuments and things that were there to remind us about that. It's not there to enshrine them as these heroes. It's crazy, and so, man, it comes down to having conversations. Right. And, I don't know what political affiliation you are, and I could really care less. I just want to have a conversation. Okay. So I just want to have a conversation, right? I want to be able to sit here and have some civil discourse. Yeah. And so what happens is they're driving a wedge between us, I mean, we got 4 guys in this room, and we're all pretty much, I think, different, some sort of ethnic background. Right. And we can all sit here and just shoot the shit and have a good time. Right. We can agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, we're going to get up and maybe something I said is going to make you think about something. And maybe something that you guys said to me, I'm going to think, yeah, let me look into that. Right. And what they're doing now with this whole vaccine mandate thing is they're driving another wedge into society. They've done it with, race, right? I mean, that's been around forever. Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah. We've done it with gender. Women's lib and all of that started in the 60s. Then we went down the path of sexual orientation. Now we've got 62 gender identities, and we've got it doesn't matter. They're going to find something to do that with, and at this point now they're using this vaccine and these mandates to do that. They're creating. Now you've got vaccine passports, right? If you don't have a vaccine and you don't have this card, you can't come in to this restaurant. You can't come into this. You can't go
shopping for food. Almost some stores. And it's crazy to me.
And so think about that. I mean, you're creating segregation all over again.
Oh yeah.
And now, I mean, they want you to, report on your family or your neighbor if they're not vaccinated. I mean, these are the paths that it's going down.
Well, who put that out there? Wasn't it the mayor? That was talking about if there was like people having gatherings. That was last holiday time when they were saying to encourage to report on your neighbors if they're having gatherings.
That was the governor.
Well, that was the governor.
Yeah,
I
or
thought it
lovely
was the
governor.
city. I thought it was
you
the
know?
mayor. My bad.
And yeah, you can't have more than X amount of people in your house, and you have to stay, and there's no singing, and there's all of these things. And you're like, what in the wide world of sports is going on here?
That idiot is going out and eating at restaurants. His winery's open. Kids are
French
going to
Laundry.
school, no mask.
It's a French Laundry. That's-
Right. So, I mean, let's look at the hypocrisy here, right? It's,
Right.
Well, let me ask you guys this: if you had to pick because you said you're a history buff, right? At any time in history, what does this sound like? Hey, let me see your papers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this.
Oh, you
this-
can't go in here. Let me see your paper. Let me see your papers. Nope. Stop. Hold on. We want to come shop here. You want to come see this? Let me see your papers.
And this
What
is
does
where
that sound
everybody
like?
goes, "Oh, you're some right-wing conspiracy theorist."
Exactly.
This is pre
Not.
40s Germany. And I lived in Europe for 3 years. I lived in Germany. So, I mean, I've been to concentration camps. I've seen it firsthand. I lived there when the wall was up. I've seen what communism, socialism, what that looks like. 14, 15, 16-year-old kids standing on a wall with a machine gun guarding, right? God. Barbed wire and dogs and moats and all that kind of stuff. And that's insane. And
Wildly insane.
And so what you're seeing right now is exactly what the Nazis did to the Jews. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They had to wear a star, right, to symbolize that. Now you got to carry, and they had to have papers, right? And they couldn't go in to restaurants, and they couldn't, their businesses were taken from them. Well, look at all the people in the city of Los Angeles who, during COVID, their businesses were shut down, right? You're taking their livelihood away,
Right.
Based on what? Tell me what?
Right.
This is insanity. This is completely conditioning people to go along, and when you look at what those documents are that created this country and how they were written and what they do and the freedoms that they allow us as Americans, we need to get back to that.
Yes.
I
think it's being lost very quickly. And you brought up a really good point, Jordan, and what you were talking about, at least with World War II in Germany. I remember watching a documentary on it, and the person who's doing the research were speaking with elderly Germans who were alive during that time, and they asked them how did this happen? How did you guys kind of let Hitler come to be such a strong power? And they said it was just slow increments over time. Little things here and there, conditioning. Well, this is okay. We'll do this for a little while and we'll take it away. And it just lasts for years, right? It kept going and going until the one point now you just have people segregated. You have Jews and people who aren't Jews, and they have to wear the star and all this stuff. And now they're in concentration camps. Now they're being it was crazy. But he said it just started just slowly.
It does.
Slowly conditioning people.
And it's not just Nazi Germany. I mean, like they did it in through Stalin. They did.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
Like
yeah.
whether it's in Germany it was specific because it was a certain race of people, whereas the other one taking away their guns and ability to protect themselves, things like
Australia.
that. Well, what Australia's doing right now is probably the closest thing to the pre-World War II antics of some places in Europe. There, it's I like the way you said it. It's conditioning. That's exactly what it is. Because if you can do little increments of time to condition the general public to believe something, and a year from then, I mean, especially now, think about it. I mean, we were just talking about it earlier. I was like, I can't even remember half the things I did yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as a society, because of everything's always coming so fast with social media and everything getting out there, and it's like, what's hot today is not hot tomorrow. It's a really easy time, I think, to do that kind of stuff because you can just slip things in. You might get a little backlash for a day or two, but something is inevitably bound to happen that now we're on to the next thing while what is done 3 days ago is now in effect.
Yeah.
Right? So we kind of get into these positions where, we're just like, okay, it's not important anymore. Well, this is a big step here, right? And when whatever society, whether you're using Germany, that's what happens is people just go along with it. Not saying that everyone individually is wrong or anything like that. It's just I think societal norms are to roll with whatever they're being told to. And if you don't stand up, if you don't fight for what you believe in, if you don't, and I don't mean aggressively fight, I don't mean anything physical or anything like that, but at least getting your voice heard, right? Because there's a lot more people that probably feel the way that you do and are never going to know it. And that's something you brought up right in the very beginning. Right, when you're talking about you went to a meeting, whatever, and you kind of felt compelled to talk about it. Those things are very important. So when you're that person and you feel compelled to talk about it in situations that are like this, do it.
Yeah.
Get up and say something, because honestly, there's probably about 100 people in that crowd that are sitting there thinking the exact same thing, but maybe didn't have, not saying that they're better or worse or anything, just that they didn't feel as compelled to talk about it. Because once you do, that's how you get like minds thinking about it, and then you really start to look at it, maybe not just creating a movement, but maybe applying something that has the potential to fix the problem that we're in.
Absolutely.
And
And that's all it takes is one person, one voice, That voice steps out and steps in to that position and says something, and it creates a spark. And then from there, it lets people know that they're not alone, and that what's going on right now in our culture, in society, is, they call it the silent majority, right?
Oh yeah,
The sleeping giant or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's because conservatives, libertarians, whatever, they don't want to be labeled, right? They don't want to be looked at as the bad guy, because they want to have civil discourse. They want to get along with their neighbor. They want to enjoy the freedoms of this country. Right. But there's a faction in this country that has got itself into a position of power by using these tactics. People don't realize that there is a playbook out there, and it's called Rules for Radicals.
Yes.
Okay? And
Very
that
good.
literally was put into place by Saul Alinsky. Right. And what's crazy is he dedicates that. You open it up and you look, and it says, dedicated to Lucifer. I mean, what in the wide world?
I didn't know that. Are you fucking serious?
No, bro, you need to read that book. I'm telling you, everyone that's listening to this and everyone in America needs to read that book. It is a playbook, and you can sit there and look at it and see that they have literally gone down everything through that book, and we're literally at the precipice. This is the end, and that's what these mandates are doing. They are literally. This isn't about a shot anymore,
Oh, hell no.
This is not what this is about. This isn't about being vaxxed or unvaxxed or whatever. This is about literally the freedom and liberties in this country and what you're about ready to lose. I mean, think about it. This started out as 10 days to flatten the curve, right? Yep. And then they pushed that a little more, and they're like, you got to wear a mask everywhere you go, right? We talked about that. Shut you down, keep quiet. It's just a whole... It makes you feel uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then you got to stay in your house for 6-8 months, right? And you can't gather. You can't go and worship. You want to go to temple. You want to go, to see your imam. You want to go to listen to your pastor. Whatever it is you want to do, you're not allowed to. You can't gather and assemble. You can't be part of your faith. You get on social media, and if you say anything, you're canceled. Right? Cancel culture is insane right now.
Oh my God. Yes.
But I do. It's granted to me in the Bill of Rights. First Amendment gives me the ability of freedom of speech, right? Mm-hmm. Gives me the ability to peaceably assemble. Gives me freedom of religion, right? So if I can't peaceably assemble and worship the God that I want to worship, but yet liquor stores and strip clubs are still allowed to be open.
Strip clubs are essential. Imagine that.
Right. But they're not protected by the First Amendment.
Right.
But I can still go there and handle that and get my business with that, but I can't do the things that God has allowed me to do and that those documents say protect, right?
Right.
So look at the loss of those civil liberties. Then, I mean, when you talk about right to privacy, your ability to provide for yourself. Well, let's shut down all these businesses. So now people are losing, all these small businesses are being shut down and they're being lost, right? Mm-hmm. And then here we go. What else are we dealing with? But yet companies like Amazon and Jeff Bezos and all of these guys, they're killing it.
Oh yeah.
But they've just had all their competition wiped out. Right? Because nobody can go anywhere. Right. So, this is a loss of our civil liberties and our freedom. And if we do this long enough and we just keep pushing, then when this shot comes and you get that, you're going to be able to go back. Life's going to be normal. I mean, look at that narrative. You can find it anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And then that thing comes and it's like, well, no, now you're going to need a booster.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
and then you got to wear a mask again because
Right.
this is still. It just keeps going. And
Yeah.
so where does it stop? Because this was never legislated, because they know that they can't, they just create another mandate. And so now, where do we go? If your kids, if you don't get vaccinated, well, then you can't have kids, or we're going to take your kids away from, CPS is going to get involved because you're a hazard.
It's not unreasonable to think
No,
that.
it's not.
Yeah, but you know what the crazy part is? People who are vaxxed are more likely to transmit
Yes.
the COVID to someone who isn't.
So we could talk about that. That's
Oh,
beautiful.
dude, it's
so
crazy.
So Rochelle Walensky, the head of the CDC, right?
Yeah.
She came out on Fox or wherever it was and basically stated that this vaccination does not prevent the spread and or transmission of the disease. So you can still catch it even though you're fully vaccinated, and you can still spread it. So if that's the case, what are we doing here? I mean, I asked that last night on a radio show. I asked the mayor of Los Angeles, Mayor Garcetti. My question to him in an open forum was, hey, you're the one putting this policy out stating that if I don't get vaccinated, I'm going to be terminated. So your job as the mayor and the city council is to protect its citizens. But you're 100% vaccinated and boosted and whatever, and you wear a face mask around 24/7. I don't. I live in Riverside County. That's the land of the free. And
I love it.
and I haven't worn a mask in I don't know how long. And I have thousands of contacts every day.
Right.
And I'm not sick, and I've never gotten the shot. And so he is fully vaccinated, wears a mask all the time, follows all these rules that he's put in place, yet he has COVID.
Oh, isn't it just poetic?
So, I mean, what are we talking about? How is that the
crazy.
safest way in this mandate
Right.
you're not keeping me safe because, hey, bro, you got COVID.
Yes.
And I don't.
I remember, dude, he was pushing it so hard and saying all this stuff about getting vaccinated, protect yourself, the citizens, your family, all this stuff. And I woke up, I remember I went to work, and when I go to work, I was like, well, let me just check out, see what's up with the news. And they said, breaking news, Garcetti got COVID. I was like, oh, you can't make this shit up.
it's definitely
you can't
ironic.
make this shit up, dude.
No doubt. And that's the thing, right? Is that you can make that argument. But you can say, look, obviously there's enough information out there now that we all know that if you're vaccinated, that it doesn't mean you won't get it. And it doesn't mean it's going to protect you from spreading it to other people.
Correct.
And when you bring those kind of things up and you talk to, I'd say the layperson about it, and if they're very pro-vaccine for this, I hate using pro-vaccine because, I'm pro-vaccine, just not this one,
Right.
But, it's just kind of like, they're like, oh, well, it's, they say it protects you up to 8% or 8 times as much, from having potentially worse symptoms. And I don't know, I tear into some research on doing that because I like to at least know what I'm talking about when I'm finding up information. And it really is just the CDC has a paragraph that says something along the lines that it could protect you a little bit more. I was like, well, at what point do we draw the line between what is actual anecdotal evidence versus what actual case study periods are? Because the one thing that you can argue is that this thing hasn't been around long enough to have any kind of case study that is legitimate, right? Because aren't they extended into 2023?
Yes.
We don't even have a phase trial done yet with it. So it's like, I'm not trying to get super deep on whether it's good, whether it's not good, It's just the push. The push is just everybody, you gotta get it, you gotta get it, or you can't do it in society. And it's like, dude, can we not ask questions, right? Or without being casted as you're just some extreme conspiracy theorist. Right. It's like, I just happen to not agree with it and I don't want to put it in my body.
Right. And so you talked about a couple good things there, let's touch on those. So at Firefighters for Freedom, we've got our website, right? And we have an education page on there because the whole premise is about freedom and liberty, right? You, as an American, should be able to make an informed decision and have those freedoms to make that choice of what you do with your body. So with that, on our education page, we have 36,000 VAERS reports. Okay, so VAERS is the Vaccine Adverse Reaction System, reporting system. And that's a government site. It's not ours. Okay, we actually have started our own internal VAERS inside of our department for our members because we wanted to know what's happening in our department. So with that, we've got all the clinical trials there as well. There's 20 current ones that are going on, and then we have all 173 that are there. You can go and look to see. There's not one finished clinical trial on any of this. This is still all ongoing. And so to that fact, what people don't understand, this is being pushed out under emergency use authorization, okay? And in order to do that, you have to have informed consent. So if I'm offering you this shot, I need to let you know that these are the side effects. These are the possible things that can happen to you. This is what it possibly could do to you. And you're being enrolled in a phase 3 clinical trial. And people don't know that. They don't understand that because none of the clinical trials are done. We're in human testing right now. So everybody that's getting this shot is enrolled in a test.
Oh, yes.
And so all of this came out of what we talked about earlier, Nazi Germany and World War II. This came from the Nuremberg trials in the 60s, based on the fact that the Nazis experimented on the Jews with experimental drugs and killed 11 million people. Okay? So they had a trial. And out of that came a very specific set of laws and rules that are international. Okay? And those have been codified into federal law as well. And they state that if you're going to use an experimental drug on someone, you have to tell them that they're enrolled in a trial. You have to give them the ability to know what's in the drug, what are the side effects, what are the possibilities that can happen, and what can it possibly do for you so that they can make that informed consent, that informed decision on their own. Now, the other thing they have to do is they have to allow you to opt out of it. And if that's the case, how in the world are you mandating this and telling me that I have to get this or be terminated? Tell me where the logic is in that and tell me where that's legal, because that's illegal internationally. So those are huge issues, and nobody ever wants to touch on that.
Hit that bell, dude. God damn, son. Dropping
I was just trying to dissect everything that you just said. There was a lot there.
I think John, dude, I love it, bro.
I think it rolls back to the reason why they use the term mandate is because mandate is not a law.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of things that get created. And I mean, I was actually talking to my wife about this the other day, and there's a lot of things that there are laws and rules, right, that apply to standard operation of society. And when things get mucked up a little bit is when you start using emergency usage authorizations or state of emergency declarations, things like that, because what that does is it just skews to gray areas because you give the government wiggle room on how they're able to apply things. Now, even in that, right, look, at the end of the day, if they're going to push this as a law, there's a reason why they can't do that because it is a First Amendment right that they're going to be stepping over, which is the number one on the docket there that they're not allowed to do. And that's why I think that there's just a lot of misinformation that keeps coming out is because you have, the TV pumps it down your throat, political figures pump it down your throat, and then as a citizen you think, okay, well, I guess I just have to do this. And it's like, you don't. You actually don't.
Right.
Now if you want to, dude, do it.
Yeah.
Again, and that's always the weird part of this conversation is because I'll sit here and rant and rave about, whether I think it's right or wrong. But at the end of the day, I'm in full support of someone wanting to do it. Yeah. If you want to look, for me personally, I do think there's a category of people that probably need it as opposed to everyone needing it.
Right.
And there's a lot of, look, you can take whatever study you want. You want the India study, you want the Israel study, you want the doctor out of New York that, treated 9,000 patients with a certain drug that seemed to fix all 9,000 people, didn't have one death.
Blanco? Yeah.
Yeah. And
he's awesome.
Yeah, awesome, right? But these things don't get pushed out there. And that's why I have a hard time with all of this. Where it's because if you are a person, let's say you want to find that knowledge, but if you If you keep going on one website to find things and you can't find anything, you're going to make a decision thinking, okay, these guys are wrong. These other guys are opposing it is probably wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like you need to broaden your horizon just a little bit, and not saying that everything that I'm saying is 100% factual. I'm saying that you got to do your own research and come to that conclusion yourself.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, I don't have my cell phone here because it's always it's like vibrates. It has a life of its own right now.
Important man.
So I left it out there. But the point being is, we have this device that is literally glued to everybody now, 24/7. You can't not go somewhere and not see somebody on their cell phone. And if you're using that thing literally to look at, cat videos and bloopers and epic fails and, whatever you're looking on that thing, bro, there's more technology in that than when we sent something to the moon. So
It's incredible.
you have the ability to find the information that you need to make that decision for yourself. And that's super important. Americans, the world needs to understand that.
Right.
Don't listen to one source. Go out there and find it.
Did you guys? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go for it, dude.
Oh, did you guys happen to, or I don't have the case number on it, but it was a case study that Harvard did on basically the accuracy of the VAERS system. Have you guys read that?
I've seen it. I haven't read the whole thing.
It's when I say read it, it was a loose read, but I read a few paragraphs of it. But essentially, the conclusion of it was that the VAERS reporting system was off by 10 times the amount of reported numbers, and that was done I think it was like 3 years ago. So it was kind of interesting because when you were talking about the VAERS numbers that's coming out, so it's like there is a lot of information about the adverse side effects of the vaccine, whether they're leading up to death or just a mild reaction, rash, whatever. But these things should be documented, right? So again, informed decision making that you have. And I came across that article because I hadn't heard about that, and I thought not that it was like, oh God, I can't believe that they'd be wrong, because I mean, look, it's statistics, numbers. I mean, how can they really account for everything else? But it's like there is a lot of gray area in that, and it's just again backing up that it's like do your research. If you're a candidate that would potentially have a huge issue with getting COVID, I totally, again, support your stance, but it's like, I mean, look, Joe Rogan said it, right? If you're young, healthy, live a healthy lifestyle, work out in the sun, all that stuff, you're probably going to be 100% fine or 99.9% because you can't say 100, right? But, so it's informed decision making that I think we're taking as a society stepping away from completely. The other thing I wanted to bring up is your guys' site posts a lot of things about like stations that get shut down for the day or brownouts, right? I wanted to just make sure we can kind of hit on what that means in impacting like the society, because I feel like we talked about it a little bit with when Josh came on from Beverly Hills, and how their chief put something out there stating like, oh, hey, our deployment model hasn't changed. We have EMTs on every rig, all this stuff, because the layperson probably thinks, oh, EMT, well, there must be a paramedic, right? Because that's what everyone confuses things to. Absolutely. I just wanted to kind of open that up to maybe kind of explain that in a way from non-fire personnel so the public can kind of understand that.
Yeah, so you're seeing that right now. We've pushed that narrative out there because the public needs to know what's going on. You got the city council and the mayor that are stating they're going to terminate us. And so let's talk some numbers. Originally when all this started, we have about 3,400 members in our department, and out of that, about 1,600 were non-vaccinated. And then we had about another 670 something that declined to state due to privacy issues. So when you look at those numbers, we knew that there was about 35% or so that were fully vaccinated. So what does that do? I mean, you're talking about termination, right? Reducing your workforce. So are we only going to have 35% or even, let's just say 50% of the fire service still there? What you're going to take a 50% cut and all these specialized individuals? Because it's not like you can just go out to a recruiting service and say, I need 1,600 firefighter paramedics, hazmat specialists, whatever, all of this stuff, right? We know that. So you're really not protecting the citizens. You're actually creating Gotham City.
Oh,
is what it's gonna
it
like.
would be a complete nightmare. And
Yeah.
you made a good point, which I think a lot of the general public doesn't understand, is you can't just go hire somebody and put them in that spot immediately.
absolutely
And you're talking, like you said, you have specialty positions. You have hazmat, rope rescue guys, USAR, helicopter qualified, swift water rescue. I mean, everything you can think of, all the calls that we run, and it takes years and time and experience to get these people trained up.
Yep.
So to lay off 35, we'll say 35% of your fire department, that is an absolute disaster waiting to happen.
Absolutely.
It will throw the 911 system into complete chaos, not to even tell
Yep.
of the lawsuits that will come, because you are supposed to have firefighters per the MOU in those stations
Yes.
for the people.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at what happened with Beverly Hills, and Josh stated it. They had these guys who didn't get vaccinated, the paramedics, right? Because I think that's a
they were all
firefighter-
medics.
all medic department, right? Well, they put them all in the truck, and now they're not running these calls, and an accident happens, and someone almost dies. And then it happened in New York, where they shut down 25 to 30 stations, right? I'm kind of loosely saying it was somewhere in between there. And they had a couple of fatality fires in those guys' first ins.
Yeah, you got Mayor de Blasio on there saying there are absolutely no fire stations,
It's bullshit.
closed or whatever. And it's like, bro, look, you got 30 fire stations that are closed. I
Right.
mean, what are we talking about here?
It's insanity. It's insanity because what you're doing is you're putting, politics in front of public service, and now you're risking the lives of your citizens, the taxpayers who are paying Mayor de Blasio's fucking, his paycheck.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. I think people need to understand that.
Yeah.
They need to understand that it's a big deal to not have your emergency workers there. And when somebody dies, I'm like, dude, these people understand what's going on. They should just fucking take that city to the cleaners.
Yeah, they should. And they will. I mean, it's New York. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
You don't screw with New Yorkers. I mean,
Right.
let's just... All you New Yorkers out there, hey, I was there for 9/11, and I'll tell you, I've never met a greater bunch of people. And man, they're diehard workers. They're hardcore. They're some of the most hardcore people I've ever met, and they're rad. And they're not going to take this laying down. I mean, they're shit full of this, as is everyone else.
Well, did you see they were throwing all their garbage? The Blasio's yard. It was so great. Dude.
The sanitation department, right?
Absolutely,
There was
yeah.
more than half. It was like 60-something% were not vaccinated, so now they couldn't go to work. And now, what do you?
The streets look disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it all comes back to. It's like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it's not just like, we use Josh's term, right? For his situation, different, right? But now you get into these bigger departments where now it's thousands of employees. And
Millions of people with tens of thousands of employees.
Exactly, because they're servicing millions of people. And then now you get to these points where it's like, 20, 30, 40, 50%, these are not sustainable numbers. And I like what you said earlier, Tim, when you're talking about, it's like you can't go to some job recruiter and be like, hey, we need 1,500 firefighters that have all these quals, because those quals take like 4 to 5 years to get anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's something that it's great that it gets pushed out there. I hope it gets explained better and better and better, because the people look, everyone involved in those services, we all know that, right? We know what is expected, what's not expected, and what ramifications can happen with different changes like that. But the layperson, and I use Beverly Hills as an example because what that chief said was bullshit. And when he tells the citizens that, hey, don't worry, we have EMTs everywhere, he wasn't lying.
Yeah.
But the deployment model for that city is to have paramedics, and the understanding between a paramedic and an EMT is so big because the very next day they had a full arrest where there was not a paramedic on scene for a very long extended period of time because
They're all
they
sitting
came
in the station
Right.
on the truck that's not moving.
It's crazy.
And not to mention the battalion chief who probably was sitting in his cruiser not doing anything and responding to that call. So it's like, there's so many different aspects that it's like, if we really want to get down into the nitty gritty of this, the public doesn't have any understanding of this.
Right.
And it's like, look, whether or not I keep saying the public, but just generalization, whether or not people want to be involved in this or really back it up, I mean, that's on you.
Right.
But just know the service that you're paying for, that your tax money to provide in case your loved one or you or anybody has an emergency scenario, fire, heart attack, whatever, that's a big dice roll if you're agreeing to shutting down most of the department because you're against the mandate, or you're for the mandate.
Yeah. And so, so let's go back to staffing, like what we originally started on. LA City, we're down, I think, 370 something firefighters right now.
Oh my God.
That's the shortage we have.
Are you saying, okay, so is that just BLS firefighters? You're talking like all ranks?
All ranks. Firefighter paramedics.
Firefighter paramedics,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, no. Firefighters and we're dual function, but it's just in the classification
But you're not even
firefighters.
accounting for engineers, vacancies, captains, all that either,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I can't give you the exact numbers of breakdown of
Right,
where that falls, but nonetheless,
a lot.
we have about 370 something vacancies, right? That we don't have bodies for to be fully staffed, to where we don't have a staffing issue. That being said, so those are holes that have to be filled every day right now.
Constant man. Correct?
Constant staffing. Okay, and so, but then what happens? We get guys that get hurt, or they're sick, or they take vacation, or whatever, and so that creates an even bigger hole now. And so now we're at 500 and something, vacancies for the day that we have to try and fill. And so, how do you do that? Well, we have assign hire codes, things that, okay, technically, everybody knows we work 10 shifts a month, 24-hour days, 240 hours, right? So, but then, we have these assign hire codes depending on where you're at and how the city's structured. I'm not going to go into that real deep, but those, when that code comes up, if they have a vacancy that day, boom, guess what? You're not going home. You're it. So you're getting forced to work that day. And then if they run out of all of those, which happens constantly, then they go into what's called recall mode. Well, we have a recall system, and in our MOU, it talks about that. And it was designed for, catastrophic emergency, earthquake, huge brush, something that's big. It wasn't designed, and it's not put into place for the ineptness of the fire chief and his command staff and the city council and budgetary issues and whatever it is. They created all of this, and now they're using that recall issue to penalize members even more. So think about this. It's like, and this literally happens every day. Guys are getting recalled. 6:30 in the morning, you're supposed to be going home. Message comes out over the audio. All members, you need to stay until 8 o'clock until we fill the holes and figure out the recall thing. Okay. So you're like, I've got a doctor's appointment today. I've got to go to a funeral.
My kid's got a recital.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
I do have a life outside of what my career is as well.
Right.
And I've already being penalized with the assign hire code because they can't get the staffing issues right. So now here we go. We've already done that the right way. And now we're going to step outside of the bargaining issue here with, our MOU. And we're going to go ahead and say, we're going to use this the wrong way. And we're going to just slap you with that. And so now you can be recalled every single day. And it's like, hold on a second. How do you expect me to function in life? I mean, think about, you guys know the stressors that come with this job. Call after call after call, right? Whether it's physical trauma from throwing ladders, lifting patients, doing all that stuff, whatever, to sleep deprivation, emotional trauma from the things that we see.
Yes.
The psychological issues. We talked about this earlier about the suicide rates that are happening, right now in the fire service because of all of these issues. And so now you throw COVID in there and these mandates on top of that, you're not letting guys go home. You're constantly hiring them every day. Guys are burnt out and they have nowhere to turn. And now you throw these mandates in there, which, where this originally started here. And it's like, now you're going to lose your job, or you're going to get something that could possibly, has the ability to hurt you, because we know that that's the case, right? Our internal VAERS shows it. There's the VAERS reports out there that show all the adverse reactions over something that I've lost my freedom of choice again. And that's what this comes back to, freedom of choice. So now look at the stressors you're putting on those employees. And then think about, let's say we've got 375 vacancies right now. So let's say you dump 10% of your department, right? Well, what is that? That's another 340. So now we're at 700 bodies a day that we're short. But then let's just bump that up to say 50% to be liberal. God. What does that do? And then think about the guys that did get the vaccine and were compliant, whether it was through coercion, fear of losing their job, or they decided to do it on their own. Who's going to run these calls? Right. I mean, how many
days can they last?
How burnt out are you going to be? So, and this isn't just, and I have to put this out there. This isn't just the fire department. Like you guys mentioned, there's 27 agencies in the city of Los Angeles. Okay. So what are we looking at? Sanitation, right? Parks and Recs, Department of Water and Power. What is California known for this time of year?
Oh, dude, it's brush fire season.
Brush fires,
Go,
right?
baby.
Santa Ana's, right?
Yeah.
So those things start. How many wires down calls do you guys go on? I mean,
a day?
during Santa Ana's.
During Santa Ana's, at least 5. Yeah,
Right.
That's one station in one area.
Right.
And
And
one
so it's
tiny little
constantly
piece.
down. And what happens when these wires go down? Well, it starts a fire, and if it's in a rural area, now we've got brush fires. And so how do you maintain all of that with reduced staffing? You can't. And again, who's gonna come fix those wires, right?
Yeah.
Well, that'd be Department of Water and Power, but you just laid off 30 to 50% of those guys. Linemen, I mean, they're shit full of this. I can tell you, we talk to them all the time. They're going to be at our rally tomorrow. I mean,
hell yeah.
they're going to be, the whole city's going to be there. And so, I mean, let's even go take this one step further. What is California known for? I mean, we don't have tornadoes and hurricanes, but what do we have here?
Earthquakes.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. So let's say we have a big earthquake, right? Because we've had those before.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, look at 92.
Northridge, right?
Yeah.
Northridge, man. I mean, buildings collapsed. Water mains blown everywhere. Gas lines on fire. I mean, you're talking catastrophic event. And what happens when you deplete all of your civil servants and the people that are there every day doing their jobs, wanting to come to work, and you've terminated them?
Telling you, John, they're going to throw the 911 system into complete chaos.
They'll throw everything, the
It'll
whole
be
city.
so off. Oh, it'll be a nightmare.
Yeah.
It'll be like an apocalypse hit.
Yeah. And this isn't just LA City. I mean,
it's everywhere.
This is what we talk about too, and that's what our movement is about, is to really get people to understand the gravity, the magnitude of this situation.
Right.
Because what happens in Los Angeles and California especially rolls throughout the nation.
It's going to set the tone, right?
It does.
Right, yeah.
So it's so important that everybody get involved. This isn't just about, some firemen that are upset that they've got a possibility of losing their job or their pension or whatever. This is truly about the freedoms of America.
I was going to say, I could tell that the Firefighters for Freedom, it's more than just firefighters. It's about your freedom.
Absolutely,
and what
man.
is being infringed upon right now.
Yeah.
And there's so many how many chapters are there of Firefighters for Freedom now?
I don't know. I know there's probably at least 10 right now.
There's got to be over 10, right?
Yeah.
Because I know I just saw like New Jersey and some other ones.
Yeah,
right?
we got
OC.
San Diego, New Jersey. We've got some in Arizona. I don't know. There's so much stuff going on. We've got that delegated out to different board members and stuff that are handling those issues. So I don't have the bandwidth to do that.
Well, I love that how this came together. But a big question I have too is, where is your union? What is up with that? Because I've seen posts too about like they're just quiet. They're in the dark. They're not saying a word.
So, there's two separate issues here. There's the issue of what we went after this as, right? As a constitutional issue, right?
Yeah.
Freedom of choice, and then based on their science issues and stuff that they said that this is the safest way to protect the public and a workforce. And then there's a labor issue as well. And so, we're not fighting a labor fight. That's what we have a union for. And they have said from the beginning that, hey, we support you guys. Originally they said that they supported getting vaccinated, but they didn't believe in the mandates. But there wasn't a lot of effort that we saw being put forth from them. Now, over a period of time now, they have finally put out a unfair labor practice.
Okay.
So we were supposed to be terminated October 20th, right? If you weren't in full compliance by the 19th of October, the 20th was your D-Day. Well, 20th came and went and nobody was fired. On the 19th, or the 18th or 19th, we got another notice basically that said the city had met, they were in meet and confer, and they came out with this new mandate. And they kicked the can down the road 2 months to December 18th. And so one of my questions originally was, hey, if we're so unsafe to the public and our fellow workers because we're unvaccinated, and you're telling us that we're going to be terminated on this day, why aren't you terminating us if we're so dangerous and deadly? Yeah, and you're giving it 2 more months.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
it doesn't.
you, yes.
I'm just a little kind of use some critical thinking.
Oh, we'll just keep bumping it back, right?
Right. So, but to go back to that, so then the city council basically said that this is their last, final, best offer, and they walked away from the table. So our union at that point stepped up and said that they filed an unfair, but they actually did file an unfair labor practice, that the city is not bargaining in good faith, and that the things that they're doing have stepped outside of the collective bargaining agreement. So they're making this mandate a condition of employment, right? Mm-hmm. Well, again, in the state of California, being that we have one of the strongest constitutions, what people don't realize, as a public employee, you have what's called a property right to your job. You own that job. It's just like your house, right? When you buy a house, you go through escrow, and it creates a contract and all of this stuff, right? So you own that house. They can't just come and take your house away. I mean, eminent domain, there's some things where they can kind of wiggle room and do that. Yeah. But for the most part, that house is yours. You stop making the payments, it's still yours. They're going to give you all these chances and things to do, and we'll work with you and whatever, go through that process. But they can't just come in and take it. There's a whole set of rules and things that are put in place to protect you as a property owner. Well, in California, your job is your property as well. And so we have a collective bargaining unit, and that's our union. And we also have a contract. That's our MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. And so all fire agencies and police departments and stuff like that, they have those same things. So you own that job. And in order to fire you, there's a process that has to be gone through. And to do disciplinary action, there's a process that has to go through. And that's usually a board of rights and skelly hearings and all of that stuff. Right. So and being that you have that contract, the city can't come in the middle of that contract and say, well, we don't like the fact that you're doing this here. We're going to change your terms of employment, your conditions of employment. Right. Well, you can't. I have a contract that says this is what we agreed to this. Yeah. It's binding. Yeah. So they're creating this and all of these other things as a condition of employment right now. And so in order to make that happen, what they would have to do is go to collective bargaining, union, city, go back and forth. And then if they can't come to an agreement, then it goes to impasse, and then it has to go to a mediator and then an arbitrator. There's all these processes that have to go down. And at some point, it has to come back to the members and be ratified, right? And if that all happens, then a letter of agreement comes into play and everything's modified. But the city has now said, no, you don't get that right. You don't have the ability your contract's null and void. We're laying down the law here.
That's such crap.
Absolutely. Just saying. And so that would like me going to the mayor and saying, hey, bro, you don't own this house anymore. I'm taking it from you. This isn't yours. That's not your car. That's not whatever, So they said because the collective bargaining process can take up to a year, to work through, this is such an emergency that we have to push this through right now, and all of your contract and everything goes out the window. And it's like, hold on a second.
No.
You guys need to put down that pipe, bro.
Yeah.
Somebody is hitting it hard. This is illegal. There's so many things that they're doing. And so you look at that and you go, how can they do that? They can't. Right. But what they're doing is preying on the fact that not everybody's educated and understands those processes. And so they're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff right now. They're trying to peel off everybody that they can to get to the lowest number of guys left standing and go, okay, can we fire these guys right now? Are there 50 guys that we need to fire because we, through coercion and manipulation and gaslighting, threats, of their job, they all bailed and they got a shot. And now we've taken their collective bargaining out and told them it's a condition of employment. Well, a lot of guys don't understand that process. And so, that to me, I mean, our union should be stepping forward and explaining that process to the guys. And it's not really happening, I don't think, the way that it should be. So we field, unfortunately, we get a lot of questions from our members. Like, what do we do here? It's like herding cats.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part of this thing. The lawsuit aspect of it is, I think, the easiest part, because the attorneys are doing their thing and, they talk to us on the board and we maneuver through that. But that's very structured, This whole thing, even throughout COVID, I mean, what are we looking at? How many times has that goalpost, that marker been moved, right?
Right.
I mean, every time you turn around, it's like somebody, they move that marker like I change my underwear, daily. You're like, holy mackerel, what is going on here?
Always moving around to fit.
And so they do that. They do that because they know that it creates confusion and stress. And if you can stress somebody out enough, they're just going to be like, fuck this. I don't know what to do. Right. The easiest thing for me to do is comply. Right. And we talked about that, right? Compliance.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's literally what this is about. That's their strategy. And it's insane.
I feel like I could see like their legal team. It's almost like a Family Guy excerpt, when it cuts to another thing where they're like, "Hey, can we do this?" And the guy's like thumbing through papers, and they're like, "I don't know, fuck it, let's just go, push it, make them happen."
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's like, because that's like the thought process behind it. I feel like, and you said a lot of really good things right there, but I think that's one of the more convincing strategies is to keep the confusion going.
Absolutely.
Because as long as, because they'll set a parameter changes in a week, right? So then it was like, okay, well then we don't have to do this anymore. It's like, no, 3 days after that, those parameters get moved around again. So now it's always aligning and falling into whatever to keep pushing the, whatever, it's either the mandate or the, shutting down business or what's essential, what's not essential. There's so many different factors in it. And it is confusing. And if you're not up to date on it, and if you don't especially let's say if you're half foot in, half foot out, you don't really give a shit either way, you're probably just rolling with it whatever. And it doesn't matter until it affects you or it affects your family. And LA's a great example because I think they had the most small businesses that got shut down.
Absolutely.
Thousands of small businesses that either didn't get the grant money that came out, or maybe they got it and it kept them going for a little bit. And now you have places like West Hollywood just up their minimum wage amount to $20 an hour.
Holy shit.
$20 an hour.
Really?
Look, obviously there's a lot of money in West Hollywood, but it's not everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at a certain point, if you're able to do these kind of things, now that's a different process than the mandates and stuff. But I'm just saying, for example, like capitalizing on scenarios where they can dictate certain things.
Yeah,
that's a big one. And it's like, I don't know. I think the answer really is until people can wake up. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And it sounds simple, but it's not, because you have to convince people to. It's not convincing them to believe you. It's convincing people to just look at what's going on and make a more informed decision.
Yes.
And you don't have to agree with everything. You can be like, or even if, let's say you're like, I'm okay with certain parameters of mandates, right? Okay. But I bet you're probably not good against them shutting down your small business. Or making sure that if you have over 100 employees that are working for you, that if not everyone's vaccinated, you got to start laying people off. You got to increase the price amount to pay other people. This is a constantly moving function.
Yeah.
And, I feel like the places that could stand together make things change. What you said earlier about how they pushed the deadline back is the 18th, right?
18th, yeah, December.
Right? It just shows you that if the numbers are there, and the reality is like everyone in charge, they're people. Okay, no, not every politician's a genius. Not everybody's a, you know what I mean, a master at staffing and hiring and all that. It's not. They're just like us.
Yep.
And when you can put a wrench in that program just to slow it down a little bit, like this, they have to backpedal. And the hopes is that they backpedal to a position that's going to make things that everyone can agree on. Yeah. Now, that's a little bit of a pipe dream saying everyone's going to agree on anything, because we know that doesn't exist. But it has to be commonsensical. I don't even know if that's a word. I'm just going to roll with
big-
it.
All right.
No, that's
Yeah, that's
great,
good with
you
me.
know?
I mean,
But-
it is. Yeah.
But that is the at essence all of this, right? And it's like the more you talk about it, and the more it's like I just sit there and I constantly just drum my head like, what is going on? You know, and the hope is that the more stuff like this, the more people can listen to it, the more people can just not feel so taboo talking about it.
Absolutely.
You know, because that's the big thing, right? It's like you go in and hang out with somebody, or you're just meeting someone. It's like, well, is he vaccinated? Is he not vaccinated? How's he going to feel about this? Is he this? Am I too far? Is this 6 feet? Are we still doing 6 feet, or is it 3.5 feet? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like things are constantly getting moved around, and it's like, dude, we should be able to talk about this.
Absolutely.
We should be, and even if we don't agree, that we can understand that your rights as an individual is the most important thing.
Right. Yeah.
That
100%.
you can make your decision. I'll make my decision. We could work together. We could be around each other. We don't have to be best buds, but we can, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, that's okay. Yeah. And I don't know. That's all this, man. I just hope that people can wake up a little
and
bit
that's
in that light.
and that's so like our movement, Firefighters for Freedom. You know, I mean, like I said, we've talked about where it started, why it started, kind of, you know, and at this point now, what people really need to understand is this boils down to our freedoms and liberties, 100%. And so, you know, when I speak and I talk to all kinds of people, the message, like from me personally, and I think from our group as well, is that it's time to wake up, right? We need to come together and unify as a country again, because the powers that are in place right now are dividing everyone. And there's no reason for that. We're Americans. Yes, we can all have differing opinions, right? We can agree to disagree, and we can have different religious beliefs and different beliefs on sexuality and whatever it is. That's what makes this place so freaking great, and that people want to come here from all over the world for that, because you have those things. And so, but they're literally slipping away. They're not even slipping away anymore. They're literally like ready to drop off the edge of the cliff.
Yes.
And that being said, people are at a place where they're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So here, let's talk about that. What can you do? I mean, what is it that you, as an American Joe Schmo, you know, business owner, Fortune 500 worker, small business employee, it doesn't matter, right? If they're doing something to you, you got to remember, okay, we're public employees, right? We're kind of in a different boat. But for most Americans, they're in a different position. And so I look at this as like, we have a platform to use right now. People, you know, they look up to us. They value what we do as a service. And I'm so humbled for that, you know, to be able to be in that position, to be a public servant for, you know, the last 21 years with the fire service, that people would actually want to listen to something I have to say. And so to be able to push that message out and to allow people to have some hope and know that they're not alone. So what is it that they can do? If all these private businesses, right? They're a business model. And what do they function off of? Dollars, right? They're whether they're beholden to stockholders or it's a smaller business or a medium-sized business, whatever it is, their bottom line is they have to make money in order to stay open.
Yeah.
So how do you affect change? If you're being mandated by your company that you work for, and there's a group of you that want to keep your freedoms as an American and don't want your employer telling you that you have to do this. I mean, he's being coerced by the government, right? We know that. We know what's going on with that. So, because he's going to lose his freedom at some point as well, right? That's just the way it goes. So you have to band together. There's strength in numbers. So if you've got 10% of your company or 15 or 20 or 50, whatever it is, find those people, the like-minded people that want freedom. Even if you're vaccinated, you still want your freedom.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right, yeah.
Because let's say that you agree that everybody should be vaccinated, right? Or everybody should get this shot. And the mandates are the best thing since sliced bread. Well, what happens 6 months from now when they come out with another mandate that you don't believe in? You know, they say that I'm not even going to proffer up something here as to some kind of cockamamie idea that they could come up with, but we could all think about
Make
those.
something out. Yeah, I mean,
So
whatever.
So all of a sudden you don't agree with that. It goes against your morals, your values, your belief system, whatever it is. And you're like, I'm not doing that. Wait a minute, bro. You just agreed with this one, and you've basically chopped your legs off from out underneath of you because you've given up your sovereignty. You've told them it's okay to go ahead and mandate these things, and you got nowhere. Nobody's going to stand with you. Nobody's going to go with that because you've already lopped your legs off. So it should be coming from both sides. This boils down to freedom. So if you have that freedom of choice, we should all be standing together and push back against your employer.
Yes.
So walk out. Be like, okay, you guys are going to mandate this? Guess what? You got a company of 50 people, 100 people, 30 of us are leaving. Bye.
Look at Southwest.
Exactly.
Oh, I loved it.
Listen.
I fucking loved it, dude.
I talked to, there's some very powerful attorneys that have been involved in that and have, had talks and with the CEO and so on and so forth and the employees and given lectures and got them to realize, hey, what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And they've reversed their decisions and they're doing the right thing. And that's what this boils down to is do the right
You said
thing.
something so it seems so simple, but it's very profound. There is power in numbers.
Absolutely.
You have to stick together. And that's one thing I loved about our careers and what we why we chose to be firefighters. It's we get a job done, but we get it done together as a team.
Absolutely.
And to get something accomplished, it's not just one person, especially with something like this. You got to have people to stand up who are willing to speak and have those tough conversations. I say it on here all the time. How was this freaking country founded? It was founded by people who stood up and said, fuck you to the system. Like, you're not going to tell us what to do anymore. You're not going to tax us without representing. All this stuff, right? And now look where we're at. That's why we have these freedoms. Why we have the Constitution. It's what you said on there. We the people is capital. I forgot about that. You're totally right. It says we the people. It's huge, and the rest is all small.
Yeah.
And there's one thing, if someone, our fellow firefighters or police, public servants, private entities, is stand up. Stand up for what you believe in. That's what this country is about. People lose their lives to come to this country.
Absolutely.
On boats, whatever it may be, trying to get here to make a better way.
Absolutely.
So it's like you don't want to turn into the countries that they're coming from. And that's the route that we're going down.
Well, and that's
Dangerous.
beautiful. I mean, I talked to so many people, and I was speaking to a lady the other day, and she came from Cuba, and and it's like immigrants that come here. I mean, this country was founded on immigrants, right? And it's great. Is our system that's in place right now make it easy? No, it doesn't. That should probably be revamped, right? So that we could have a system that makes it easier. But when you talk to people that have come here through that process and they came from, a South American country, or they came from Cuba, or they came from, an Eastern Bloc country, somewhere where there was communism,
Right.
Fascism, there's socialism, socialistic countries. They understand what oppression is. They understand what this country is all about and what these freedoms are. And they sit there and they literally pound their head on the wall. They're like, how do we wake people up? What is wrong with Americans? Why don't they realize what they're losing right now? Why is it? It's because they've never experienced that.
Yes.
Period. And so you have this thing that's called normalcy bias. And what that is that's like, this is the United States of America, bro. Right on. Let's drink beer, watch football. It could never happen here. We're the strongest military force in the world. And Marx even said, we'll never take the United States down from the outside. It will only come down from within.
Yes.
And so
yes.
That's what's happening right now. They've lulled everyone to sleep. And because people have never experienced that, like the immigrants have, they don't realize what's happening. Right. And so, again, this is where speaking up and speaking out and, peaceful assemblage and, doing things like that, are so important, Yeah. And that's like our rally tomorrow, man.
Man, I'll tell you what, we're going to be there.
Yeah.
We're set up, we're ready to go. It's going to be really good. But you know what? You bring up so many good points, and I hate to say this. I come from a military background. Grew up, my dad was a Green Beret for 20 plus years, and he believes in God and country and this freedom. He fought for it. He's willing to risk his life. He lost good men doing it. but we've had it too good for too long. People don't understand what we have. They don't understand the price of freedom and how many lives were lost
not free.
for freedom. Yeah, it wasn't free. It was bought with blood.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the hills in in Normandy on the beaches. These cemeteries for our military. I mean, there was a lot of sacrifice made so these people can rally or can stand up and say they're not for the vaccine or stand up and say you are for the vaccine. It's your right.
I don't have to live under an oppressive government.
You don't have to live under oppressive government because you know what? When that's gone, you're going to fucking wish it was back. I tell people that all the time. You better be careful what you wish for because when your freedom is gone and you can't say what you feel or what you believe, that censorship is starting now already with these social media companies.
Yeah.
Right? It's starting to happen a little bit.
Well, like this podcast, it might be a little tough on YouTube. There,
I'll tell you what, John. I was telling I face it now with this podcast. I'm always in constant battle with Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm always fucking fighting. When I put up a video clip, dude, it gets pulled down, gets put back up, pulled down.
Rumble.
Constantly. Oh my God. And I'm thinking, God, what's going to happen one day when that freedom is gone?
Yeah. Well,
And people won't ever. They're going to regret it. I promise you.
So, oh my God. So there's so many things to talk about. It's like, Marx always said that he uses the left because they're totalitarians, right? They're
Right.
these oligarchs and they go from the top down. And he always said that he would use the one side of the party as useful idiots. These aren't my words. Anybody watching this, look at, man, pick up the Communist Manifesto, rules. These guys wrote this stuff out and I'm just reading their words, okay? Right. And they're telling you. And so when you have, the left and certain groups they think that they're going down and they're going to be the savior of everything and whatever. No. He's called you a useful idiot for a reason because at the end, they talk about they're going to put that boot on your neck and crush you. Yeah. You will no longer be needed in that society.
Right.
You served a purpose, bro. That's it. Yeah. And so, it's scary. It's crazy. You look at that and you're like, man, how can you not?
I'll tell you what's encouraging is having people like you on this podcast, having Firefighters for Freedom, and seeing that, I love that Firefighters for Freedom started. There was no advertising, and look how big it is now. What, 60,000 followers?
I don't even know. It's big. It's a lot.
The different chapters, but we need organizations and people like yourself who are willing to stand up and start rallying people. Yeah. Because, you got to have a leader in everything. You got to have people that are going to believe in something. And people that believe in the people that are leading it. And that's what you guys are doing. It's beautiful, dude. I freaking love it. And there's so much support that's happening for you, not just where you're at, but even OC Firefighters for Freedom in San Diego. And just it keeps rolling and rolling. It's like, okay, so like we talked about, that silent majority, guys who are afraid to stand up. It's like, well, now we got somebody who's on our level that understands what we're going through in our job. I'm going to start paying attention to this and join in, Yeah.
Well, and what's cool is, especially with the chapters, I think is really bitching is, it goes out to OC and it goes to San Diego and it goes to these different areas. Well, this is a grassroots movement, right? And where does everything start? In your community. So, we're LA City Fire Department, right? And we started this movement, but we're affecting change on a very big level, but now, you guys start OC, Firefighters for Freedom, right? That chapter, you guys have the ability to reach out to your community now and affect that change. And so where does that happen? What does that look like? That looks like getting your families involved and speaking and talking and creating rallies in your part of the, your neck of the woods or whatever. And it's like, like the big thing right now is vaccine mandates, vaccine passports,
boosters and shit.
And our kids.
Dude,
right?
The kids is bad.
So moms right now, I'm telling you, moms are on a rampage, bro, to stop this because they don't want their children being forced to do something.
How the fuck is the government going to tell you what to do with your children? That's what I want to know.
Exactly.
I'm sorry to get excuse that, but I'm just I don't have kids. I have a dog and it stresses me. But anyways, but I have 8 nieces and nephews. Love them to death. How the hell are you going to tell my brothers and my sisters what they're going to do with their children? Go fuck yourself. Not happening, dude. Well, I have probably a total of 6 family friends I grew up with their kids They sold everything, left. Tennessee and Texas. They're like, we're out of California.
Right.
Not happening.
But it's spreading across the country too. It's not just, again, it's going to those places. It's going to Texas, Tennessee, Idaho. These things are moving in that direction. And so, I like other states because of the mountains and, I'm an outdoorsman and so I love it. But right now I'm here and I'm in this. I've lived in California for most of my life and we're bringing the fight back to them. And so again, with the chapters and stuff, you guys now have the ability to bring that into your community and start at that grassroots level. Yeah. If your school is going to mandate that your children, have to take this thing or have to, whatever it is, we voted those people in there. So, because nobody else stood up. So now's the time to have that family member step into that position and kick that turd ball right out of there. Goodbye.
Right.
And
it's a great point. I read an article about a student whose teacher was giving him problems for something throughout high school. And then all this stuff happened. And he was on the board and they're pushing on his vaccine. Mm-hmm. The kid's 20, 21 years old. He ran and won.
Oh, yeah,
really? It was so great, dude.
And he's got firsthand experience. I mean, homeboy just got out of school, right? Just graduated from high school. And he's like,
most fresh.
I'm in, bro.
No, I loved it. He's like, screw this guy. You know what? I'm going to run against him, and everyone voted for him.
Yeah,
it's like we want him out. Such a great point. We need people to step up who want to be in those leadership roles and do that.
Well, and nature abhors a vacuum, right? So if there's, excuse me. COVID. Sorry. Super spreader.
All good.
If they're like we had our last union meeting, one of them, I don't know. We're standing up there and this came about because there's a lack of leadership, right? And so wherever that vacuum is, wherever there's a hole, nature's going to fill that in some way with something, and those people will step to the plate. But it's been happening. We've had the wrong people stepping to the plate because everybody's been afraid of what's going on. They don't want to be labeled. They don't want to be confrontational. Right. Well, the time is now. I mean, this is our 1776. This literally, for a crappier pun intended, I guess, this is the shot heard around the world. And I mean,
true.
Think about that.
It's like a rebirth.
This is literally, right? This is literally, that's what happened in 1776. And this is literally what has awoken people in this country. Not woke, but reawakened. Let's find a word, whatever that is, to wake up those people and get people involved in this country.
Absolutely.
And taking it back because, again, we're sitting on the precipice of a very big cliff. And there's a giant that's ready to fall.
And I think like what you're saying, looking at the organization that you guys have started, right? What that does is it makes all the other people that weren't thinking about how to go about doing it, gives them a platform to stand up together. And you can attest to that because you've seen the growth of the fellowship, right? And it's branching off, it's splintering now, right? Which, we keep using these 1776 references and I can assure you, or at least because I'm also a little bit of a history buff here, that, at the time, crazy things happened and, probably half the community went along with it, whether they disagreed with it, and it takes these kind of figureheads and people, and that's why what you're doing is so important, and, hopefully that will not just wake people up, but that will inspire those other individuals because, look, the way I look at it is that there's a shit ton of people that are way smarter than me. You know
absolutely.
What I mean? But if I can,
I'm trying to be the dumbest guy in the room.
Well, hey, look, I'll surround myself with intelligent people. You know what I mean?
Carnegie, that's what he did. The mastermind theory, right? You look at that guy. He knew how to bring people together,
right?
And he would use the smartest people he could find to get the job done.
Right. But by being the person, by being the medium, really, to get that started, to get that out there, hopefully that inspires other people. Whether I'm not just from the fire department part of it. No. But I'm talking like the school board. That was a great example, right? You have a kid that has dealt with some bullshit and then finally I could run against this person. Yeah. And he does it. And sometimes that does take a little bit of a push. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because, inherently, unless you're an outlier, sometimes it does take a little, not incentive, but, I don't want to say coercion, but help to get you going in that direction because those are the people that will end up being the figureheads, that end up making the change. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that are very, I don't want to say like-minded because I don't like using that term, But maybe as far as like fundamental moral base, you know what I mean? On like what's right is right, or what's, constitutional is constitutional, and you kind of play those, together. But I think that, this kind of stuff, this does inspire people.
Yeah.
That guy, hey, look, if someone listens to this and they go, I'm going to start a chapter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And over here, and then next thing you know, boom, 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 boom. And that's the person that is the great speaker or the smart person who understands how, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I don't know. I think all this is just, I hate saying like, yeah, it's bitching, it's awesome, all that stuff. But it's like, when you take a step back, big picture, it's like, why are we even here?
Yeah.
Why is it even like this right now?
Yeah.
But
Complacency.
hey, but we are here.
And
right?
we're all part of that problem, right? Because what did it take for us to really get going? Was this issue.
Right.
But this has been a problem and a cancer in our society for quite some time. It's not like this just happened overnight. Right. I mean, come on, look at where we're at. This is insanity. And so, I'm no different than anyone else out there. I've been complacent, and to me, I had to stand up and say something. I had to stand up and do something because, I have kids. I have 2 daughters, and they're older now. But at the same time, they're going to have kids, so I'll have grandkids someday. And the point being is, they're going to be like, Dad, you were there.
Yeah.
What did you do to make a change? Did you just sit on the couch, or did you actually do something? And I can't even imagine having that question asked and be like, I had the ability to do something, but I didn't. Yeah. Man, I'd feel like I let him down. It's horrible.
Deep. I like that. Hell yeah, brother. I love it.
We got to be the change that we want to see, right?
Yes.
Because nobody else is going to do it. If you want to change, then step into that role. Be that change, man, because it does things, man. It brings people to you. It's like a magnet. You roll it through the dirt, right? And what does it do? It brings everything close to it that it needs. And that's what we got to get Americans to understand is that, man, let's roll. Time is now.
Let's go.
I was just gonna say, I was like, be the change you want to see. I'm like, that's a very profound statement. I haven't heard it said that way. Dude, but you're right. Like at the end of the day, and it's not just for this. Be convicted in whatever you're convicted in.
Absolutely,
right? Because that is what makes this country amazing.
Yeah,
we've talked a lot about the mandate, right? And I think that's a focal point, at least with how it's going to relate and where we're at in society. But just everything. You know what I mean? If you're passionate about it, there's not a reason why you can't get out there and speak about it. But I think that's the part that's like the craziest of all this, because you're worried. You're worried about, if I tell you what I think, then you go and you go and you go and you go and everyone reposts it and then says that I'm some crazy asshole, right? Then I'm worried about making sure that everyone doesn't, think I'm a bad person, And I think that we've kind of hit this like weird, social media gap, like all this stuff where the cancel culture is huge. And we're seeing it all the time. And like we said it even earlier, like Aaron Rodgers, right? He's a unvaccinated guy, and all of a sudden, but he's been, I do not like the Packers, and that's on court. That is on record because I'm a Bears fan. But
I can't stand football, so there you go. So now I'm the odd duck in the room.
But no, but I will say this: that at least Aaron Rodgers has a backbone.
Oh,
right. He's not afraid to go out and at least tell him what he thinks, whether you agree with him or disagree with him.
I respect the shit out of him, dude.
He laid it out there pretty solid, and he's done it a few times, and he's made it very clear that it's not a partisan issue. He's like, this is just what I believe.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the kind of stuff. What it takes is that, look, not everyone's gonna be Aaron Rodgers, because let's be real, he can get fired and he's good forever.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it does take people standing up, talking about what you believe in, because you know what? At the end of the day, there's going to be a lot more people that probably agree with you than you even realize to yourself.
Well, and you just said something that sparked a conversation we had before this started, and I gotta roll back to this, because this is so key in this whole thing, because these mandates are about getting terminated, right?
Right.
Everybody's afraid to lose their job. We're all in the same boat. We all have responsibilities, commitments, and so on that we have to take care of, right? And unfortunately, money makes the world go around, and you got to pay your bills, right? You got to take care of your kids, your family, whatever it is. And you said, what's that guy's name? Aaron Rodgers?
Football player?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. So
we'll call him Derek Rodgers.
All right, we'll call him that guy.
That guy.
So that guy he could get terminated and he's set for life, right?
Right.
But then you got us, right? And part of the issue is getting, all of these guys to stick together, right? We've got almost 900 litigants in our lawsuit against the city.
Oh, wow.
We haven't even talked about that.
I know.
We could drop on that in just a second.
Damn.
But real quick to this point, again, I've said this before. It's like herding cats. How do you keep all these homeboys together and keep their spine stiff, right? Well, I've said this before. Like, we have Zoom meetings weekly to try and get our members educated so that they understand, what's going on in the lawsuit, what's going on here, what do we need to do? And my question that I put out there is, bro, you're a fireman. You're a firefighter, whatever, however term you want to use. And what do? We're tasked with mitigating problems using critical thinking, right? Right. Every day. Somebody picks up that phone, calls 911. It's the worst day of their life. It doesn't matter if they stub their toe, their shitter's overflowing, their house is burning down, they got shot, stabbed, whatever it is. They don't know how to handle it, and they need someone to come fix that problem. We show up on scene. What do? We get to work. We handle our business. We don't have a hotline that I could pick up and go, 911, this is 911. Can you help me?
Yeah.
There ain't nobody to talk to. So we have to figure that out, right? And so guys are like, I've never gone to a high-rise fire and looked at it and go, shit, that's 32 stories, man. How are we going to put that thing out? We roll up on scene, we pull hose, we do it, whatever we need to do to get the job done, right? There is no question the job will get done. So you as a firefighter, and you're saying, what am I going to do if I lose my job? Bro, pull your head out of your backside. You have the largest skill set of anyone around. You mitigate problems every day. You are a problem solver. Right. Period. End of story. You don't ever question whether you can or cannot do this, right? So stand for something, which is freedom, and make this happen right now, right? If you lose your job, you're going to be able to do something else. You're going to use those critical thinking skills, and you're going to find another job, whether it's in, podcasting, or speaking, or working construction, or starting your own business, because that's what we're seeing right now too. I've been on the phone with a lot of people. And so we've got this whole airline thing going, right? You got to wear a mask on these airlines. You got to vaccinate for this, do that. There's a whole nother arena coming out of freedom-minded people that want freedom. And we've got Freedom Airways that's getting ready to come rolling out.
No way.
Oh, dude.
There's a whole nother culture. There's a whole nother industry of like-minded people that are starting businesses to promote freedom and stop this nonsense. And so get involved in something like that, right? Again, you need to be the change that you want to see. And so if you think that this is the only thing as a firefighter that you can do is drop that like that.
Drop the mic.
Drop it like it's
That was
hot.
an early mic drop.
Okay. If you think that this is the only thing that you can do, you're in the wrong profession already, because you could do anything you want to do, period, end of story. And guys forget that. They don't even think about that.
Yeah.
It boils down to complacency.
Yeah.
That's what it really is. And I know we were having that conversation earlier, because I was, we were talking about it and how there's a lot of people that will be affected depending on how the mandate thing shakes out. And there will be a percentage of people that cave. Because
Absolutely.
that's just the numbers. Right. That's just how things work.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
But then there's going to be, I think there's going to be a larger percent that says, you know what, screw it. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, if you have to look at yourself, you should be confident in your convictions. And if the one thing that you're worried about is the financials, right? Because how are you going to provide for yourself? Everything that you just listed off. Why'd you get hired then? Mm-hmm. How long did it take you to get hired? How hard was that work? Do you want to go through something like that again? No, of course not. But at the same time, now look at your resume. You're telling me that you wouldn't be an advantageous, employee to get hired
man.
Because of your skill set. You're like, listen, I can deal with the most craziest scenario that you can make up in your head, because more than likely I've had something similar to it, or maybe that exact scenario.
Right.
And that's a great point. Look, at the end of the day, when they call 911. There's no 911 for 911. You are the end of the line. You are there to make it better or fix or help or whatever. Yeah. And I really like the way you say that, and I would hammer that into people's heads.
Absolutely.
Because it's important.
It's crazy. I'm 53 years old, man, and I don't
look
want
good, dude.
woo.
So you're like, damn, bro.
I feel like I'm
great.
103 right now. But nonetheless, the point being is that I don't want to start a new career. I don't want to go out and have to do something else. But if I have to, you better believe it. I'm gonna, because there is no way I will take a knee to this. I will not stop pushing this issue because I believe in what this country was founded on, and that is freedom. And to me, that is, look, if I take a knee to this, guess what? Everything collapses. You lose your freedom, you lose your sovereignty, right? What do you have?
Yeah.
Because if you allow them to push this mandate through and tell you what you can or can't do with your body, it's not going to stop there. And the only thing that we have as human beings and Americans that we really truly own is our body.
Right.
Right? I mean, my soul sits in here, right? And that's connected to God. And if that guy's willing to sacrifice his life to save us, I mean, I should be able to sacrifice my career so that I can maintain that freedom and have that free agency and that will, man.
Let's go,
Period.
baby.
Solid, dude.
I mean, it's
My man, John.
straight up, bro.
Honestly, dude, it's
You are the man, John.
it almost.
Goddamn.
It's crazy because when you were talking about that, you're like saying what's next. To me, I just kept thinking The Matrix. That's
Bro, that movie.
That really is basically kind of what it seems like it's turning into. It's
It
like at
is.
some point we're just here to provide energy for the system to keep running.
Yeah.
Otherwise, our individual liberties are truly at stake.
Well, we could jump down that path, but that's a different.
You're
That's
like-
a different podcast.
You're like
we could
Neo
talk to-
right now, dude.
we could talk about Ray Kurzweil and artificial intelligence
Oh, yeah.
and Tesla's chip in your head, and I mean, bro, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We're living in
That's
wild
Skynet,
times,
baby.
dude. Wild freaking times. But one last thing I want to hit on before we end this podcast is the litigation you said.
Yeah.
How many? So we know, because when we go to work, there's always like, oh, I heard this many guys in LA say. Everybody kind of wants to know what's the number of firefighters that are in that litigation.
Okay, so
If you could talk about it.
I can. Yeah, I can. But I can't give an exact number because we just opened that back up.
Okay.
We filed an amended complaint, and we opened it back up. Now, originally, when we closed it down the first time, we had, I think it was 871 or 875 litigants in that lawsuit. And so, we have two suits that we have. We have the constitutionality, the science one, based on the mandate. And then as soon as we put that out, what happened was through our upper management, we ended up getting, there was a lot of coercion, manipulation, harassment that was happening. And, our chiefs, we have some chiefs that were really pushing this issue and telling guys, you're going to lose your job. You need to get this thing. Just shut up and take it, basically. A lot of stuff was happening.
Chiefs,
and
nice.
chiefs and captains,
I believe
as
that's,
well.
that's bullying and harassment.
Well, yeah, and don't we have all these harassment classes and bias?
Sorry, I'm not
training
trying to laugh. I'm
and all
just
that?
saying that's like a hammered home subject matter that is a zero tolerance.
Zero
issue
tolerance. We
between
have a zero tolerance manual, right? And here you are as a chief officer harassing the living shit out of this guy, telling him he's going to lose his job and his livelihood if he doesn't get this shot.
Right.
I'm sorry, but F you.
Nope.
Period. And so in that, we created a second lawsuit. In the fire service, we're not victims, right? But again, we have a lot of stresses, and we talked about that in our job. This whole COVID thing and working through that, and are you going to take it home to your family, and all of these things that we've dealt with, in addition to all of our calls and lack of sleep and all of that we've talked about. Now you're throwing a mandate in here that says, I'm going to lose my job if I don't do something against my free will. And you've got chief officers that are harassing you, making that stress even more. We've got a lot of guys that have come to us. Where we're walking them off the edge. I'm
That's
guys that want to kill themselves. We're not. That's what we're dealing with. And so our attorney said, okay, we'll make this stop. And we filed a lawsuit for damages, a punitive suit against the harassment and the mental anguish and the things that they're creating, the additional stressors, in the amount of $2.1 billion with a B. So, yeah.
Let's fucking go. 2 bit.
Wow.
My man, dude.
Wow.
That'll get him to shut up.
And it seems like a lot of money, but when you break it down and you look at what it is, it's not. It just happens to be that there's a lot of litigants in this.
Oh, yeah.
And the point being is, I mean, if I got terminated, the amount of money that I would get, as over the next X amount of years that I would
Correct.
continue to work, that money doesn't, and it's not about money. No. It's about the fact that you're doing something wrong and I don't have any other way to make you stop because my voice is not, you're not listening.
You're not being heard. Yeah.
You're pushing your agenda on me, sir. And so it's like, hey, bro, this is it. This is the only way we can get people to shut up and understand that there's consequences to your actions.
Well,
right?
Another interesting point of that is, and this is something that I've yet to hear about as far as locally with the mandate, right? Because that was one of the things saying that if you're an employee, you're refusing to get vaccinated to follow with the mandate, that you wouldn't be or have access to either some sort of supplemental income or anything like that. It's interesting when you have people like, with pensions, if we're playing this gray area card as hard as we can, what's to say that part of that mandate or an extension of that mandate is if you do not comply, you may be qualified for your pension because you could be at 29 years, 30 years, 32 years, whatever. But you're like, okay, I'm out, I quit, or I get fired, and now who's to say that they can't stop you from collect? Now, I'm not a legal expert. I'm just throwing things out there because if we're playing the what if game, because that's really what this is kind of turned into.
Right.
And it's like, who knows? It has to stop. It's good. Yeah.
And there is no concrete, again, they change the goalposts constantly. And so there is wording in the mandate that you look at that and you go, wait a minute, is there a possibility that I could lose my pension or if I've retired in this amount of time? It's confusing and nobody can give you an answer on that.
Right? A pension that you pay into. Right?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
But that's even why. So like, if this is the case, when you throw out a number, $2 billion, right? That sounds crazy because it's such a high number.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? If that represents 1,500 people from where they're at in their careers and they all get fired for something,
sense.
you know what I mean? There has to be some sort of compensation with that because now they may not even be able to get on some kind of unemployment and or a retirement pension that they'd worked 30 years for to get. So when you start throwing these numbers out for a lawsuit, it may sound crazy, but it makes sense if that's, I mean, to me it makes sense, but it's something to fight for.
Well, and again, we're talking about mandates, and so that's not a law, right? It's getting around that. So there's nothing to say that, this mandate couldn't go down in a different direction. They're like, well, we're going to mandate that if you don't get this shot and you quit or you're fired, you don't get your pension, right? Ooh. There's a whole different mandate, right? So this is what we're talking about on how slippery this slope is, We try and think about all these different things that are happening or the direction they can go. Well, everything that we're dealing with is so illogical that point right there is perfectly logical.
Right. Yes.
I mean, just like Bing.
I'm picking up what you're
There's
putting
a lot
down.
of Bings.
It's true. I mean, it's not out of the realm. It wouldn't seem crazy, right? I mean, I tell people all the time right now, we're living in the best sci-fi movie ever written. It's like live action happening right now.
Yeah.
You would have told us a year ago or even 10 years ago, even when you first got hired, like, this is where the fire service is going to go, and this is what's going to happen in the world. Wouldn't have believed you.
Never.
Never would have believed you. Like, that's fucking crazy,
because
dude.
you know what? There's probably a handful of people that would say they probably wouldn't have pursued the career.
True.
Right?
True.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
not everyone, but I mean, there's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so different that you've been like, what? That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? That I wouldn't. Why would I do that to myself?
Well, it's sad. I mean, I know a few LA City guys I grew up with, and other firefighters in different cities. And it's the first time in this career I've ever heard people say, I'm rethinking my career.
Oh, yeah.
You never hear that in the fire, right? Fire, police, this is stuff you fight for and you hold for 30 years.
Yep.
And people are just saying, no, I think I'm just going to sell all my stuff and leave the state. It's just not for me. I'm sick of California. I'm sick of the politics of my job, the mandates. I'm out of here.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, you don't really ever hear that. That's kind of weird.
No.
Very, very weird.
Yeah, I could have.
Well, it's funny,
That's crazy. That's a really good point.
You said that because I was on Fox, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago or something, and they did a live interview, which is rare. And that video kind of went viral. And it was interesting because he asked me a question about, well, what would happen? Are you willing to be terminated? And I said, absolutely, yes. And he was like, oh. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, would you move to another state that's more conservative or has more values? And I'm like, no. I don't know what I would do. I said, but I have that skill set that I can do anything I want. And I'm, we're here now and this is our battle, you know?
Right.
So this state is a great state. It just has some issues, and we need to push back against those issues, you know? And it's just super important that, again, we get that message out there, you know? And I mean, like you guys, what you two are doing here this is freaking rad. I mean,
thank you.
You guys are rock stars.
I appreciate it,
because literally, this is a conversation that everybody should have. I mean, again, I could care less if you like me or not. You're not going to hurt my feeling. You know, I only have one.
Yeah,
but
keep them few.
Hey,
right? Yeah.
biggest danger in the fire service, man. Hurt feelings.
Look, it is. I mean, look, being in the fire service, you need to have skin like an armadillo.
Oh, God.
So,
yes.
because the minute they find that soft spot, oh, it's game on. It's a target. But whatever. So I keep, that one feeling. It's there. But the point being is, it doesn't matter that whether you like me or not. I get along with everybody, man.
Yeah.
And I value diversity in people. I like to be able to learn from people, to talk to people. And what you guys are doing here, this is what we should be doing in society, is having an open discussion and being like, hey, these are some great ideas, you know? Yeah. And so for you guys to invite me out here to be able to have this conversation, I mean, I had no idea it was going to go like this. I had no idea what to expect. You sent me something, and I'm so darn busy, I haven't even gotten to listen to it yet. And I'm like, well, this could be a shit show because,
Right.
you know, whatever. But it doesn't matter. That's the point being, is that I'm more than happy to talk, you know?
No, man, this is the whole point of this podcast, is to give a voice to the people.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do. Is I said, when I asked Jordan to start this, I said, you know, we don't need to look to movie stars or professional sports players for encouragement or inspiration. Your everyday person is going through life, and they're trying to figure it out. They have ups and downs just like all of us, dealing with deaths in the families, loss of a job, or beating cancer. I mean, we've had 2 females on here who were being beat by their husbands, and they've had the courage to leave, and now they're just thriving.
Right.
You know, you hear those stories, you're like, holy crap, like people are going through a lot. If they can do it, I can do it.
Absolutely.
You know?
And it's funny, you know, it's like, so last weekend, was it? I was in Utah at the Liberty Conference, and I spoke there. And, you know, I don't ever write anything down. I speak from the heart, and I kind of sit around, I listen to the audience and what's going on, and kind of get a gauge of where everybody's at and what's happening, you know? And yeah, people want to know about us and what we're doing and so on. So I talk about that, you know, the movement a little bit, because there's other places where you can really get into that. And I mean, it can be boring and whatever, but the whole idea is to get people engaged and to understand, bro, 8 weeks ago, I was the same as you. I mean, I stood up there on that stage with, you know, people like General Flynn and Simone Gold and,
So
you know,
wild.
bro,
Wild.
big names. I mean,
Right.
you look at these speakers and you're like, 6 weeks ago, I was getting out of bed, brushing my teeth. I put one pant leg on, the other pant leg on. I get dressed, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to work. I'll go hunt. I do surf, ride my horse, whatever it is. And I'm no different than you.
Yeah.
I just happen to take a step and stand for what I believe. And since then, it's pushed in this direction that it's like, now I get people coming up to me. I'm like, oh my God, I need to talk to you. And it's like, okay, what do you want to talk about? I mean, I don't know. I'm still that same dude, you know. I'm.
Well, it goes to show how many people are in support of that.
Yeah.
They're just looking for someone to step up.
Yeah.
And it's like when you start seeing more people step up and believe what you believe, that's when more start coming out of the shadows. It's
They
like,
do.
Okay, and look what the movement that you've started.
Yeah.
That we're all a part of, you know?
And so when we talk, you know, I mean, you guys, your podcast here reaches out to I don't know how many millions of people.
It's
a
global.
lot.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
that's
man.
so
That's
rad.
awesome. Yeah.
You know, but I mean, like I was standing on that stage, and there's 4,000 people in the audience, and another 2,500 live streaming, and it's like, if one person hears something that I say and feels inspired, and does the same thing and stands up, man, then they can talk to 4,000 people or whatever. Right? It's just it's grassroots. I'm nobody, man. Literally, I am some dude named John Knox that was by the hand of God, I was pushed into where I'm at, and I'm so humbled and grateful to be able to sit here with you guys, and be able to have millions of people listen to this and be like, you did say some good things. Maybe he said some fucked up things too. I don't know, but at least it gets that conversation going, right?
Yes.
But that's the beauty behind this, and that's like from the get-go. We're kind of talking about just the starting up, and how it is. It's highlighting ordinary people living extraordinary lives. I know a lot of the posts and stuff. It's like be inspired. Some things may sound cliche, but at the end of the day, that's really what the point of this is to do. Now, this is a unique circumstance, right, with things going on currently now. So it's awesome to be able to be a platform for guys. I'm not saying well, obviously we completely appreciate you being here. And like what that brings to this as well. But, just having the ability to get that out there so people can hear it because, dude, at the end of the day, that is the division. The division lies within that of not hearing other people's opinions, hearing other people's experiences or different things that maybe it does open up the eyes to somebody or that next person that's going to stand up or have a better way to go about doing things, you know? And I think that's just the beauty behind all of it. And then the ability to sit down and talk. I mean, I don't even know how long we've been talking for because in all honesty, I wasn't sure how long this was going to go either or where this was going. Because this is kind of in the template where we just, we both like to talk, so it's like we just sit here and start talking, and basically we've reformatted the coffee table talk in the morning from the fire station, which is where everything gets handled, right? That's where all the ideas
kitchen
come
table.
from.
I mean, kitchen table talk, 100%.
If somebody wants to support or be involved with Firefighters for Freedom, what is the best way to go about that?
So we have a couple different ways. We do have a donation platform. You can go to our website, which is Firefighters4Freedom.org, Firefighters4Freedom.org, and there's a donate button there. There's so much information there. We sell merchandise there as well. That all that merchandise goes back. Like these cool T-shirts and whatever.
Yeah, I bought some.
Yeah,
I got
thank you very
T-shirt,
much.
jacket, and hat.
My man, I love it.
Let's go, man. I'm just trying to get that in here, dude.
So we have that. All the proceeds go back into our fund for attorneys running the operation day to day. I mean, nobody's getting paid out of this. We're all doing this. This is all volunteer. We have no wow, and it's a tremendous amount of work.
Truly from the heart, dude. I love it.
Yeah. It goes into our advertising. It goes to our attorneys. It goes to push this message of freedom out to the public,
Awesome.
and to get people to understand. So you can go there. There's educational stuff on there so that if you do want to get this shot or you're questioning it, go and look and get that information. Make an informed decision for yourself. Yeah. And if you don't want to, then don't. It comes down to freedom of choice. So we got a ton of stuff on our website. And then if you want, a lot of other people really engage in our Instagram page. And that's Firefighters for Freedom, at Firefighters for Freedom on Instagram. And we do a lot of cool stuff on there. We bring guests on, Jeff, the guy that runs that, and Mark. I mean, they do Instagram live stuff. And, we've had Josh on there from Beverly Hills. Yeah. We've had wives on. We do all kinds of stuff on there. And, trying to bring awareness to what's going on and get the message out there. And that's what really this is about. So you can donate there as well. The other big thing that you could do is tomorrow, November 8th, is that right? Yeah, November 8th.
Yeah. I didn't think about it too. I was like, wait, 10 a.m.
I don't even know what day it is anymore.
Dude, we slept too long. That freaking time change.
Yep, 10 a.m. on Monday. We're going to be having a rally at City Hall. Just across the street from City Hall at Grand Park. I think it's 227 North Spring Street. And we're expecting somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 people. Wow. We've got a lot of speakers. We've got community, groups, Lexit, Blexit. They're both going to be there. We've got Simone Gold. We've got Amy Bond from PERC, which is Protecting Educational Rights for Kids. They do a lot of stuff with the vaccine mandates, passports and all that kind of stuff. Jason Cisneros, the Bald Avenger. His podcast guy, podcast guy. Yeah, he's rad. So cool. Will Witt from PragerU is going to be there. We got a lot of big names that are coming out to support. Dr. Chris Rake, who was the doctor who was fired from UCLA for not taking the shot. There's a lot of names that are going to be there, and a lot of speakers to help educate people on what this is about. We've got booths set up. Wow. This is a family event. Come on out, bring your family.
Dude,
so cool. We're going to be out there.
We'll see you in the morning.
Sweet. Yeah, we'll be cruising around. And if somebody wants to start a chapter, fire department or firefighter, Do they need to contact you guys first?
Yeah, reach out, shoot us an email, and or get us on Instagram because that's super active. They get a lot of comments on there. DM us, and we can point you in that direction. We've slowed the chapters a little bit because it was going so fast. We're still working out some bugs and issues with that, but we can give you a lot of information so that you can start setting up your foundation because these are coming. To a city near you. Again, it's spreading across the country like wildfire. And so if you can be prepared and have a structure built out so that you don't have to create something from scratch like we did, we built that out and we just take that and run with it, and there's some other stuff. But
well, John, dude, thanks so much for making the time to come on this podcast, dude. You are
pleasure.
Truly a unique, awesome individual, man, and I appreciate you stepping up and just being who you are, dude.
Yeah,
we
awesome.
believe in what's happening. We believe in Firefighters for Freedom. We follow. We support. Whatever you guys need, let us know. We are actually planning to come to most of those rallies.
Sweet.
Every time they're posted, we're going to be filming and talking, interviewing people. So
actually, you said rallies. That is important. Let me drop this real quick.
There's more, right?
There is. Well, not. This is the big. This is our second one, but. Starting November 8th, which is tomorrow, to the 11th, Lee Dundas, who is a civil rights attorney, huge, she has a 4-day national walkout.
Yes.
And, us as civil servants, law enforcement, fire department, we can't strike. We can't do that, right? Because we've taken an oath to the citizens to serve and protect them. But everyone else that's not bound to that, you have the ability to do a 4-day shutdown on this country.
Let's go, people.
And show the people that are in power that the citizens, we the people, are still involved.
And we have the power.
We do, and
we
so
have the power.
They've got truckers. I mean, we're talking about shutting down. They're shutting down the economy for 4 days, from the 8th to the 11th, and it culminates on Veterans Day. And there's going to be a huge rally for that.
Where's that rally
culmination? That's going to be my understanding is up in San Francisco. Oh, okay. So start looking. I can't give out all the details for that, but you need to actually check that out. There. Yeah, it's going to be.
I have to make a trip for that.
It's going to be big, super
big.
So
I mean, again, I just want to say thanks, dude. I mean, honestly, it was the first time we met.
Yeah.
So it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and I know you're a busy man.
Yep.
And
that's
to say the least, right? But taking the time to come on here, dude. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I definitely think this is the key word today is inspired. I wish we could throw that over the thing.
That'd be
but
sweet.
just at the end, not to recap everything. Just thank you for what you're doing, and hopefully, just like we were saying earlier, things like this, get out there, reach people. You are not alone. You are not by yourself, and if on all ends of the spectrum of this, you know what I mean? So just,
I'm going to ask,
get out there and talk, man.
Everybody, I think that's a camera right there looking at me. Hey, I just want to say, please, everyone get involved. At some level, if it's your dog catcher you don't like, if it's your city council or your school board, please actively step up and take back our country. It is time for America to wake up and save the freedom and save this country. That is my request. Please.
I love it. Let's go, baby.
Wow.
Dude, beautiful. Well, John, thank you again for coming on. We really appreciate it, dude. We hope we get some more Firefighter for Freedom guys on here.
Absolutely,
We'd love to have them, dude.
Let me know.
Anytime. But let's get a let's go on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Bye, everybody.
And that's it. Thank you for listening in, everybody. We'd like to thank our sound engineer who makes this podcast happen and makes us sound very good, Stephen Clark. And to our first sponsor, 89 Barbers. Look good, feel good, be great. Come get your haircut at 2 locations, Long Beach and in Orange, California. Your appointment can be booked at 89barbers.com. That is EIGHTNINEBAB. BARBRERS. 89barbers.com. Again, look good, feel good, be great. Check it out. It's my barber. He is the man. Thanks, everybody. Bye.